The Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, there will be more rain to come for many places, but also some dry and bright weather, particularly across a central slice of the UK. Now, we currently have an area of low pressure out towards the west, and this is driving some blustery winds and some wet weather due to a frontal system that's marching its way across. We have a front clearing away towards the north as we go overnight, but lingering across the far north of Scotland, and then a front pushing eastwards, but also lingering across some southern southeastern parts. So a fair bit of rain to come. But in between those two wetter areas where things will stay pretty mild, there's some drier, clearer weather, and here things could turn a little fresh. Some rural spots could drop into low single figures perhaps. But in the south, where we have this cloud and rain, it is going to be a wet and blustery start to the day for many places. The rain could be quite heavy, particularly in the southwest. Across much of Wales and central England, dry but cloudy to start. Brighter across much of Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Across the rest of Scotland, though, quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain could be a little bit heavy at times as well. As we go through the day, some of that rain across parts of Scotland, well, that's going to continue, may edge a little bit further southwards towards the borders area. Meanwhile, the heavier, more persistent rain in the south, that pushes its way northwards, and that's going to spread across Wales, the Midlands and into northern England later on as well. It is still mild out there at the moment, especially so towards the southeast. Once that rain clears away, there'll be some brightness, and so we're looking at temperatures reaching around 16 Celsius. Then Thursday, a bit of a messy day for many places. Some rain across parts of Scotland, northern England and northern Ireland. A bit of rain in the far south of England as well. Dry, bright across the Midlands and Wales and the far north of Scotland, seeing a few showers. And then on Friday, colder air pushing into northern parts. Meanwhile, some heavy rain and strong winds affecting some southern areas. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
I have been informed, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon that HMPPS are investigating a further case of a potential release in error on the 3rd of November who may still be at large.
Lammy's lost 91 more prisoners. He doesn't even know if some of them are still on the run. And the only reason we found out that Lammy is releasing women from prisons to make room for men is because he accidentally emailed his plans to this man.
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks introduced by this Justice Secretary.
Robert Jemrick is live on my show later. Plus,
as a brown person, I've never felt more unsafe in the country I was born in.
As a white person, I've never felt more unsafe in the country that I was born in. But get this, NHS chiefs say that the English flag makes them feel unsafe. Plus,
I commit this Labour government to nothing less than the abolition of long-term youth unemployment.
Unemployment has now surged to 5%. Labour is bankrupting Britain and
online, and there's no shortage of people saying that Britain should give up on working with other countries to tackle the climate crisis. Here's what they really mean: that we should leave our children and grandchildren to clean up our mess. This government is not going to do that.
Ed Miliband flew to Brazil for a climate conference, flew back to Britain and is flying back to Brazil again to stay in yet another 5-star hotel at your expense. And 9 4-star generals have launched a scathing attack on Sir Keir Starmer. And some massive breaking news right now, just as I walked into the studio, actually. Sir Keir Starmer's allies have accused Wes Streeting of plotting to oust him from office. Supporters of Wes Streeting go to war with Number 10. I'll have all of that and more coming your way as it develops. On my panel tonight, we have got GB News contributor superstar Will Kingston. We've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh and journalist Jonathan Liss. And protests as Bob Villan is performing in the Prime Minister's North London constituency right now. Yes, as we speak, chants of death to the IDF are ringing out in Sir Keir Starmer's constituency. Get ready, Britain, here we go. NHS bosses compared patriotic Brits to convicted sex offenders. Next.
Very good evening to you, Aaron Armstrong here in the GB Newsroom. The Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy's described the BBC as a light on the hill for people here and across the world. Lisa Nandy's been addressing the Commons about the crisis engulfing the broadcaster, saying the concerns are serious, but the BBC's faced criticism from all sides for its coverage of highly contentious and contested issues. It comes after outgoing Director General Tim Davie told staff the BBC must stand up for its journalism, a day after President Trump threatened to sue for $1 billion. Ms Nandy says the BBC must uphold the highest standards, but has warned against sustained attacks on the corporation.
And it is by far the most widely used and trusted source of news in the United Kingdom. At a time when the lines are being dangerously blurred between fact and opinion, news and polemic, the BBC stands apart. It is a light on the hill for people here and across the world. Trusted news and high-quality programming is essential to our democratic and cultural life. All of us in this House should value it, uphold it and fiercely defend it.
Well, President Trump's given the BBC until Friday to publish a full retraction of the Panorama programme or face legal action. Shadow Culture and Media Secretary Nigel Huddleston says the corporation requires institutional change.
These recent leadership changes are a response to the growing number of examples of bias in the BBC, one of which has resulted in a potential $1 billion lawsuit. We all want the BBC to succeed, to be the best possible version of itself, but that requires institutional change and far more than a few moves at the top.
The Justice Secretary's admitted another prisoner may have been released by mistake last week, saying authorities aren't sure if that person's still at large. David Lammy confirmed earlier 91 prisoners have been freed by mistake since April this year, and 3 are still on the run, adding that none of the 3 are convicted sex offenders. Last week it emerged 2 inmates were released in error following the high-profile case of Hadish Kabatu, the now deported migrant at the heart of protests in Epping. Meanwhile, the High Court's rejected an attempt to prevent asylum seekers being housed at a hotel in Essex. Epping Forest District Council claimed the owners of the Bell Hotel were in breach of planning rules. Mr Justice Mould dismissed the claim, ruling an injunction was not an appropriate means of enforcing planning control. The hotel became the scene of protests earlier this year when Hadish Kabatu, a migrant living there, was convicted of sexually assaulting a woman and a teenage girl. The Home Office insists the government will close every asylum hotel and that they're working to find alternative accommodation. And campaigners for the so-called WASPy women have welcomed the government's announcement to reconsider its decision not to compensate them. More than 3.5 million women born in the 1950s claim they weren't properly informed of the rise in state pension age to bring them into line with men. Last December, ministers announced they were denying compensation to any of those in this category. The Work and Pensions Secretary, Pat McFadden, though, says today's announcement is not a guarantee that the original decision will change. Those are your headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Yes, well, welcome along. Good evening. And the breaking news literally right now is that Sir Keir Starmer's allies have accused Wes Streeting of plotting to oust him from office. They're warning that any attempt to do so would trigger a market shock. Well, hold that on the screen for a second because there's some more detail in the last few minutes as well. And that is that apparently Ed Miliband, yes, Ed Miliband, Shabana Mahmood and Angela Rayner are also on manoeuvres to try to oust Sir Keir Starmer. So that is pretty huge breaking news, really, and we'll bring any developments to you as we get them. Do expect it, by the way, to be on at least a couple of tomorrow's newspaper front pages with some more detail. But it appears that ahead of the budget, some other cabinet ministers, I mean, it's important that they are cabinet ministers. They are going to war with Sir Keir Starmer. They want him gone. Are they willing to wait until he gets an absolute kicking at the May elections? And it follows a story, regular viewers and listeners to this show will know, that happened earlier on, last week, actually, about the new intake of Labour MPs, of which there are quite a few, apparently hosting not-so-secret meetings to figure out how they could get rid of Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir Starmer's allies are saying that they are going to do everything they can to keep him in post. He's going to face them down. Watch this space. But There's another story in town. NHS bosses say that our great national flag is creating no-go zones for their staff. One NHS Trust leader compared walking into the home of someone with a St George's cross outside to the threat that staff face from going into the properties of convicted sex offenders. Here's the quote. I've been into homes with people who have been convicted of sex offences, and we go in and we provide care to them. It can be a really precarious situation, and they handle that absolutely brilliantly. The autonomy and the clinical decisions that they make within that, I think, is fantastic. We saw during the time when the St George's flags went up, our staff, who are a large minority of black and Asian staff, feeling deliberately intimidated. It felt like the flags were up creating no-go zones. That's what it felt like to them. It's ridiculous. The NHS doesn't have a problem with some flags, do they? They painted the entire side of one hospital with the pride flag. They've even got big LGBT ambulances. NHS staff are currently suing the NHS over their right to wear a Palestine flag at work. And here is what Matt Goodwin had to say. He said, "We have become so dependent on immigration in the NHS, we are apparently no longer allowed to fly our national flag." Well, I think that's spot on. There appears to be a coordinated attempt to talk about racism in the NHS at the moment. Wes Streeting claiming that we're returning to the, quote, ugly days of the 1970s and 1980s. And today, Sir Keir Starmer, who has the lowest approval ratings of any Prime Minister in recorded history, was interviewed by a doctor called Amir Khan. So, just so we're clear on the context, Dr. Khan there has a watermelon in his social media bio, which is one of the symbols used to show that you are very pro-Palestine. Now, that doctor said this.
As a brown person, I've never felt more unsafe in the country I was born in. What are you doing to politically, culturally and emotionally bring the country together?
This is so important because I think the political divide now is between what I call patriotic national renewal, which is what this Labour government is doing, bringing people together, whether it's partnership working here or across the country, finding those points of connection, or, and this is what I fear, the toxic division of Reform and others on the right in politics, where they're tearing our country apart.
Well, Dr. Khan and Sir Keir Starmer, as a white person, I have never felt more unsafe in the country that I was born in. Do you care about that? Are you going to do anything to deal with my concerns? I mean, they say that the St George's flags create a no-go zone. What about this?
Why do you think I'm a dog?
Officer, can you take his dog away?
You think I'm a dog?
Take his dog away.
I haven't done anything.
Go away.
I'm a citizen of this country and I'm free to do what I want.
Are we going to have an adult conversation?
No, don't. Is that my choice?
Don't entertain him. I'm asking you a question. Don't entertain him.
I was trying to have an adult conversation. They started calling me a dog and swearing at me. I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything wrong.
I think it's best that we leave it.
Today, there was news that the illegal migrant hotspot of the Bell Hotel in Epping is going to be allowed to stay open. That is, of course, where the Ethiopian sex offender abused a schoolgirl, then went on the run. People there don't feel safe. I mean, the other day, a woman died after allegedly being stabbed in the neck in a random attack. Random attacks seem to be happening rather a lot at the moment, don't they? Also, today, this news broke.
New data my department published today shows that from April to the end of October this year, there were 91 releases in error from prison.
Yeah, 91 of Lammy's lags are out. He's not even sure if one bloke has been released or, if he has, whether or not he's still at large.
I have been informed, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon that HMPPS are investigating a further case of a potential release in error on the 3rd of November who may still be at large.
He says today a prisoner may have been accidentally released last Monday. Well, has he looked? He's either in his cell or he's not.
It's not just ethnic minorities who don't feel safe in this country. And if our national flag offends you or makes you feel unsafe, then perhaps you are in the wrong country. And just before anyone starts calling me a racist for saying that, here is our Chief Medical Officer, Chris Whitty. He also thinks that we should be hiring more British doctors over foreigners. who might not, of course, be offended by our national flag. Is he a racist too? Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We have got GB News contributor Will Kingston, we've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh and journalist Jonathan Liss. Will, I'll start with you on this. So, no-go zones for NHS staff because there's St George's crosses outside people's homes.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it, Patrick? Look, it's a poignant day to speak about this because so many people have died fighting for that flag, and we must not forget them, lest we forget. If some trans ideologue picks up a pride flag and advocates for the chemical castration of children, I don't feel intimidated. A, because I'm a normal human being, but B, because facts don't care about my feelings. In some instances, people use that flag for what I think is a very, very harmful purpose, and some people feel pride in their sexuality. That's fine. In this case, this flag is a flag that should unite the country. Every country has a flag, and just because some people may use it for purposes which other people may think are harmful, bad luck.
So as an Australian, you're not intimidated by seeing St George's crosses everywhere?
Well, let's not forget the Union Jack is on the top left corner of the Australian flag, and we share the same king. So I feel relatively comfortable with it.
At home,
yeah.
Good, long way that last.
Wait until the Ashes starts, at least, in which case it may be a very different story.
Exactly. Esther, what do you make of what some of those NHS bosses have said there? Essentially saying that going into the homes of convicted sex offenders was almost as precarious for some of their staff as going into the homes of people who've got a St George's cross outside?
I'd say they've lost the marbles. I mean, this is like trying to make up a story. I mean, how were you threatened? Who is threatened? And there's so many questions this story raises. Well, what do they now want? Do they not want anybody to go into a house because they feel threatened by it?
They want us to take the flags down.
No, yes, but if they don't, does that mean you don't get any health treatment? Do you now say we're going to pay people more money to go into houses if they feel threatened? It just raises so many questions. I think it's a nonsense. You're living in Great Britain, you're living in England, these are our flags, and I think people should just realise it is the flag of the country. But I'd like to know how exactly they're threatened. Who? What's happened? Because we've not got any of that. It just seems to be a suggestion that people are. We've got no examples at all from these NHS chiefs.
Well, yeah, Jonathan, what do you think of the NHS bosses who say that their staff are having to go down no-go zones when they go to places like Essex where there's flags?
I think there is a little bit of disingenuousness happening in this particular debate, Patrick. I am not offended by the flag of my own country, England, clearly. It's a flag, and when we have football tournaments, for example, people across the country of England fly that flag proudly, and there is a degree of reclamation of that flag. And I say reclamation, reclaimed, because for many, many years, that flag was not a symbol of unity. It was a symbol that had been essentially co-opted by elements of the far right, and I think that's a terrible, terrible shame. But that is what happened, in the same way that a lot of people didn't feel comfortable flying the Union flag, because that also was seized upon by the National Front, the BNP, etc. Now, I'm not saying that this is a good thing, I'm not saying that it's a welcome thing, but I'm saying that it happened, and a lot of people...
Just get on with it.
But I'm saying that...
Suck it up, you're in Britain.
So, the point is that a lot of people fly the flag entirely innocently and proudly, and that's brilliant. A lot of people, some people, a minority, are flying those flags in order to intimidate people, and that is a problem.
Jonathan, if neo-Nazis sit on couches, we don't suddenly go couches are evil. It's just you can't.
So that's JD Vance.
You can't just say just because some people choose to use something for their own purpose, it is therefore ipso facto bad.
Well, I think that we can have a good faith discussion about this.
We've struggled in the past.
Couches are clearly not the same thing as flags. You know full well, and I'm not saying that you support this or subscribe to it in any way, but you know that the flag has been used by racist people in order to intimidate people of minorities.
Was the Labour logo then? Well, when obviously under the days of Jeremy Corbyn, when the party was accused of rampant anti-Semitism, was the Labour logo co-opted by anti-Semites? You know, were people ashamed to have used the Labour logo? do you think? Would that have intimidated people, seeing that...
Well, I think, look, a lot of Jewish people actually were intimidated by Labour people in those. I wasn't one of them. I wrote an article saying that I was a Jewish person, I supported Labour, but a lot of people were.
Sorry, can I bring you on, do you mind if I ask you specifically about the comments that Dr Amir Khan made there, which he said to Sir Keir Starmer, as a brown person living in England, I've never felt more unsafe than I do in the country I was born in. I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of white people that feel like that as well.
I think under Keir Starmer, I think he has stoked division by when people have come out, whether it's the Pink Ladies in Essex, complaining about what they've got concerns about who's living in their area, and Keir Starmer did nothing about it, and he just wanted to sideline them, and he insulted them, and it was, you are far right. And I think he's stoked that division in this country, and it's about time that we come around the flag. It's something actually that you can get around and say, no, we're all proud to be British, but whatever the problems are, let's tackle them and not try and brush them under a carpet. And anybody who complains about a problem, say you must be far right or you're some kind of extremist. No, you're not. So I think he's the one who stoked division.
Well, Patrick, as you know, I've said on this show, when they say division, they mean things that we disagree with. But I'll come back to that argument, Jonathan. I think you're right. I think there is a difference between a couch and a flag. I think that's fair enough. The better analogy would be the Palestine flag, which is flown every weekend at the moment. Some people do use that as a good faith way of saying we are not happy with the war in Gaza, and some people are Hamas apologists, and yet we don't have that same level of frustration or sadness about that particular flag. And I wonder why people on the left side don't see that particular contradiction.
Well, there's a difference between wearing a pin on your lapel and sort of having a house festooned with flags and asking public sector workers to come into that house.
But there are a lot of flats. This is the thing. So there are a huge number of houses and flats that are emblazoned with the Palestine flag. There's loads around here. You don't see articles...
Hundreds of flags across the streets of London.
From the NHS saying that their staff, their nurses and doctors feel afraid to walk into those houses.
I have a look. Look, it's a legitimate question. I would answer it like this. I think that for the vast majority of people who fly the Palestinian flag, it is as a symbol of solidarity with the people who have, according to the UN, that face a genocide, which is not the same thing as a...
I genuinely don't think it's about the flag. I kind of think it's about completely different things, whether it's extra money, not having to do any home visits, nothing to do with that, because they've given no examples whatsoever, and it's coincidentally at the same time that they're all planning to go on strike on Friday.
If they are that bothered about, let's be honest with you, I would imagine 99% of the time it's English people flying the English flag outside their own property, then they won't mind if those English people stop paying their tax for the NHS and stop paying all their wages, will they? But
and the house you're going into, the person's vulnerable, they're ill, they're needing your help, they're not going to be any threat whatsoever.
Exactly. Well, a Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson, there's no place for intimidation, racism or abuse in our country or our NHS. We value the diversity of our NHS, which relies on the skill and dedication of hard-working staff from all backgrounds. They must be treated with dignity and respect. Our flags represent our history, our heritage and our values. They are a symbol of our nation and belong to all of us, not just some of us. All right, whatever that means. OK, look, there is some breaking news as well, which I'm going to come on to, which is that apparently Sir Keir Starmer is facing a serious leadership threat from not one, but two, potentially even three cabinet ministers. But before that, hey, this will take his mind off it. Why doesn't he enter the festive giveaway? Here's how.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 922. guarantee. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, lots more coming your way. This will get you going.
Online, and there's no shortage of people saying that Britain should give up on working with other countries to tackle the climate crisis. Here's what they really mean, that we should...
The Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, will fly to Brazil and back for COP30, not once, but twice. He'll clock up over 20,000 air miles. Is he a complete eco-hypocrite? But before that...
Says today a prisoner may have been accidentally released last Monday. Well, has he looked? He's either in his cell or he's not.
The only reason we know about David Lammy releasing female prisoners to accommodate more men is because his department accidentally emailed those plans to Robert Jenrick. Let that sink in. Robert Jenrick is going to join me at about 10 p.m. But before that, should women really be spared jail to make way for the men? That's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Huge breaking news happening right now. Sir Keir Starmer is facing a leadership threat from at least Wes Streeting. So Sir Keir Starmer's allies have now openly accused Wes Streeting of plotting to oust him from office. How on earth can Sir Keir Starmer keep Wes Streeting in his cabinet? Surely he's going to have to sack him. But the other news is that Shabana Mahmood, Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband are apparently all also on manoeuvres. It is really crumbling down around Sir Keir Starmer's ears now. I mean, these reports are coming through thick and fast that apparently this threat to Sir Keir Starmer might be, quotes, immediate, which means, in the context of politics in this country, immediate, unfortunately, doesn't mean right now. It means straight after the budget. So there you go, it's happening, they're briefing about it, it's out in the open. Sir Keir Starmer is facing leadership challenges as we speak. More on that shortly. But first, David Lammy, it turns out, is going to release women from prison to make way for the men, and we only know about that because David Lammy accidentally emailed his plans to Robert Jenrick. But should women be spared prison? It's time now for the head-to-head. Right, reports tonight that hundreds of women were going to be moved out of jail to free up more space for men. The Justice Secretary David Lammy's officials have proposed a scheme to divert female offenders out of jail in order to tackle overcrowding. Female offenders could instead be placed in residential centres at a cost of up to £100,000 a year per person. But embarrassingly for the government, the plan only came to light when Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick was accidentally copied into an internal government memo about it. David Lammy's predecessor, the Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood, promised to reduce the number of females in prison. So tonight I'm asking, is it right that women are spared jail? Going ahead on this now, a former Prisons Minister and Reform UK spokesperson, Anne Widdecombe, and the academic and anarchist, Dr Lisa Mackenzie. Anne, I'll start with you. Do you think it's right that women are spared jail?
No, absolutely not. It's down to the courts, not down to the government, it's not down to Lammy or Mahmood or anybody. It is down to the courts to decide whether an individual deserves imprisonment. And don't forget, the judge will have taken into account all the extenuating circumstances, anything else that's relevant, whether there are children. He will take that into account. But if the courts then decide for somebody whether male, female should go to prison, the responsibility of the government is to supply the places to meet that decision. They're two completely different responsibilities. And, you know, if a court says this person needs to go to prison for X length of time, and the government says, oh, no, they don't because we need the space, that actually undermines the justice system.
Lisa, I'll bring you in. I mean, this is just sexism, isn't it?
No, prison reform has been needed for women for a long, long time. So even though I am no fan of Lammy at all, but I do support the idea of looking at this as reform rather than, you know, just allowing women not to go to prison. So we're not talking about violent women. We're not talking about women who hurt children. We are talking about the many women who go to prison for non-violent crimes. Many women are in prison because of drug addiction and addiction. There are women who have... you go to prison as a woman for shoplifting.
Well, so do men, Lisa. Sorry, so do men.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do. But I would say that prison reform needs right across the board. We have people in prison because they've got serious mental health issues. Rather than getting the support, they end up being in prison.
All right, go on, Anne.
Nothing has been said there that applies specifically to women. It is true that there are people in prison who have mental problems. They may be male, they may be female. The point of this is that the government has decided that they're going to release prisoners on the basis of gender. Now, that is completely wrong, and also it's dangerous, because if it becomes the norm that the woman doesn't pay the same penalty as the man and she doesn't go to prison, then when crimes are being planned, women can be coerced, and men will say, look, you know, we'll go to prison, you won't, you take this risk, you do it.
That already happens.
And we have testimony to that.
That already happens.
Oh, go on, Lisa.
That coercion already happens. That already happens, Anne. That's already happening. And I also, can I just remind people, when Lucy Powell was in prison, people on this programme was one of the...
I think you might mean Lucy Connolly. Lucy Powell's the deputy leader of the Labour Party.
That was it, not Lucy Powell. Gosh.
Wishful thinking? No, not really.
Wishful thinking, yeah. No. But when Lucy Connolly was in prison, people on this channel were really sort of talking about her child and the damage that would do to her child. So I'd say let's extend that to other women.
All right, well,
let me just make it very clear that I always upheld the sentence, which was unpopular with some of my colleagues, but I always held the sentence for Lucy Connolly because it had a deterrent value. We didn't need copycat riots all over the country.
All right, well, you're right. That was certainly an unpopular view amongst some of your colleagues, but there we go. But this is why we love you, Anne, because you don't care. You know your own mind. All right, OK, both of you, thank you very, very much. That is former Prisons Minister, Reform UK spokesperson Anne Widdecombe, and the academic and anarchist Dr. Lisa McKenzie. Right, well, lots on this evening. Bit of this.
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks introduced by this Justice Secretary.
Robert Jemrick was completely humiliating David Lammy today after the Justice Secretary admitted another prisoner may have been accidentally released from jail, doesn't know where he is, doesn't even know if he's come back yet. That's on top of the 91 others he's just let out. Jemrick joins me at 10 p.m. I'm also going to have all that breaking news this evening. The Prime Minister's future is hanging by a thread. There are now leadership challenges against Sir Keir Starmer, but before that, well, he's one of them apparently. Ed Miliband is apparently throwing his hat into the ring. Well, he'll have to come back from Brazil first, won't he? He's clocked up 20,000 air miles going to a climate conference and back again and back again. More on that shortly.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across the Med, but whilst it's warm in Spain, there is some wet and windy weather moving through Madeira, approaching the Channel Islands and also affecting Portugal. Later, that's going to push through parts of Spain, but ahead of it we've got a southerly airflow and above average temperatures, a lot of sunshine through Italy into Greece as well. Keen breeze here, 1 or 2 showers, and you can see that unsettled weather affecting Tenerife on Thursday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. It's time for your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, there will be more rain to come for many places, but also some dry and bright weather, particularly across a central slice of the UK. Now, we currently have an area of low pressure out towards the west, and this is driving some blustery winds and some wet weather due to a frontal system that's marching its way across. We have a front clearing away towards the north as we go overnight, but lingering across the far north of Scotland, and then a front pushing eastwards, but also lingering across some southern southeastern parts, so a fair bit of rain to come. But in between those two wetter areas where things will stay pretty mild, there's some drier, clearer weather, and here things could turn a little fresh. Some rural spots could drop into low single figures perhaps. But in the south, where we have this cloud and rain, it is going to be a wet and blustery start to the day for many places. The rain could be quite heavy, particularly in the southwest. Across much of Wales and central England, dry but cloudy to start. Brighter across much of Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Across the rest of Scotland, though, quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain could be a little bit heavy at times as well. As we go through the day, some of that rain across parts of Scotland, well, that's going to continue, may edge a little bit further southwards towards the borders area. Meanwhile, the heavier, more persistent rain in the south, that pushes its way northwards, and that's going to spread across Wales, the Midlands and into northern England later on as well. It is still mild out there at the moment, especially so towards the southeast. Once that rain clears away, there'll be some brightness, and so we're looking at temperatures reaching around 16 Celsius. Then Thursday, a bit of a messy day for many places. Some rain across parts of Scotland, northern England and northern Ireland. Bit of rain in the far south of England as well. Drier, brighter across the Midlands and Wales and the far north of Scotland, seeing a few showers. And then on Friday, colder air pushing into northern parts. Meanwhile, some heavy rain and strong winds affecting some southern areas. Bye-bye.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. That breaking news happening right now is that Sir Keir Starmer is facing leadership challenges from several different cabinet ministers. One of them is apparently Wes Streeting, and in that break there, a new line has just dropped, which is that apparently Sir Keir Starmer's team became aware of another plot, really, from Wes Streeting. They thought about it happening in the last week or so, and then apparently they say that there's more information that's come to light in the last couple of days, which makes them believe that Wes Streeting is now seriously on manoeuvres. I mean, Wes Streeting's going to have to be sacked as Health Secretary if this is true. You know, Sir Keir Starmer's allies have now essentially gone to war with the Health Secretary. We'll have more on this developing story as we get it, but watch this space. But one of the people who is supposedly also trying to oust Sir Keir Starmer is the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, who's been branded an eco-hypocrite tonight after it emerged that he will fly to Brazil for the COP30 climate summit not once but twice. He's returned to the UK after his initial trip to Brazil last week and will fly again for the next stage of the conference, which starts on Sunday, meaning he will have clocked up a massive 24,000 air miles, which equates to roughly 3.6 tonnes of CO2 emissions, the same as the average household annual CO2 emissions. I'm joined now by climate activist Dr. Bing Jones. Dr. Bing, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Great to see you. I believe that you haven't flown anywhere for 20 years, so presumably you are really angry about Ed Miliband racking up not one but two flights to Brazil.
Well, Patrick, good to see you too. Look, flying is a disaster. But it's a disaster because so many people do it. And if there's any hypocrisy, it's really about people who deny the severity of the climate crisis in the first place.
But how can it be that severe? Because he also sent an aide to go and check out a four-star hotel for him a little while ago. He decided not to stay at that hotel. He's actually staying at a five-star hotel. And whilst in Brazil, the first time, he was spotted dining at a luxury rooftop restaurant above a £1,200 a night five-star hotel where he was staying. I mean, he was also there with former members of Extinction Rebellion, Dr. Bing, who campaigned against flying.
This is a distraction. The COP is a disaster because it's basically been taken over by the fossil fuel companies. The real hypocrites are the people who are denying how serious the climate crisis is. It's an absolutely terrible situation, and somebody's got to do something about it. The real hypocrites are the people who are pretending that everything's all right.
You know, we also flew over our special representative for climate, Dr. Bing. We flew over our special representative for the climate. She flew business class, and it cost the taxpayer £38,000. Is that okay?
Look, there's a lot that's not okay about the government. Our entire system is falling apart. But underneath every single other crisis is the climate crisis. And the climate crisis is being made worse by fossil fuel companies and by companies that make massive profits. And every single flight that you're talking about here is dwarfed by the kind of energy, by the kind of emissions that fossil fuel companies are producing all the time. And we've got to get some kind of proportion here. Look, your audience need to be informed because the climate is absolutely dying. Look at the Caribbean. Look at the.
Well, it's funny you should say that because
let me finish, Patrick. Please let me finish. You just want to rubbish Ed Miliband.
No, I think it's hypocrisy. I don't like the waste of money. And I was going to say that the UK government has stated its aims for what they want to achieve out of this COP summit. One of them is protecting forests and nature. And the British taxpayer has just paid £52 million to cut down parts of the Amazon rainforest in Guyana to build a road to nowhere. So, I mean, I would say that's an element of hypocrisy as well, Dr. Bing, isn't it?
Look, there's hypocrisy all over the place, but the biggest hypocrisy are the people who are pretending that there is not a massive crisis here while they're going on profiting. And the us for your program here. Your program is funded by fossil fuel interests. You're a loss-making program. Program that's designed.
When I walked into the studio today, I was handed bags of gold by the oil executives. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Just out of interest, when you're talking about all of this, it looks very much like, from what you're saying as well, it's very much one rule for the people who claim to care about the climate, and another rule for everybody else. And I would add to that.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, the Ed Miliband has flown over there. Not once but twice, racked up the same amount of of CO2 emissions as the average annual UK household does. We've also thrown over several other people as well at a huge cost to the taxpayer. They've met up with former Extinction Rebellion leaders, including their lawyer, who campaigned against flying, who've also flown over there, and they're staying in luxury five-star hotels. Is that not a bit hypocritical?
If you keep on repeating your same thing, it's just...
But it's a big thing, though, isn't it?
No, it's look. What's really awful is the fact that the fossil fuel companies have taken over the government. They have taken over media companies, and they're constantly trying to distract from their own.
Are those fossil fuel companies in the room with you now, Dr. Bing?
You're still trying to distract from the fact that in the Philippines we've had two of the worst typhoons, in the Caribbean, billions of pounds worth of damage in the Caribbean. Your listeners need to be aware of the fact that the insurance cannot cope with the climate damage.
Most people already can't cope. So do you remember when Ed Miliband told us that we had a fully costed plan to bring our bills down? And now, actually, our bills are going up not once but twice under this Labour government. Maybe, the other bills that are going up are, of course, the bills that we are paying so that he can gallivant across Rio.
That's not true. The bills are going up because the price of the bills is tagged to the price of gas. Gas is a fossil fuel, and it's much more expensive than everything else. We've got a completely crazy system which makes our bills high because fossil fuels are expensive, and they're unreliable, and they're dependent on all sorts of weird things.
What fuel do you think Ed Miliband's jet used, Dr. Bing?
Pardon?
What fuel do you think Ed Miliband's jet used? I mean, any of the jets, because he's taken a few, hasn't he?
All flying is a disaster because most people fly for pleasure.
Oh, so he's gone for business.
Miliband is going to try to make a bad situation worse.
Well, I'll tell you what, expensive business dinner, wasn't it? At the five-star rooftop hotel bar.
Taken over the COP process. But at least he's trying. You guys,
what's he achieved?
You guys in GB News are just trying to tell your audience that everything is all right, and we can go on.
I'm actually trying to say the opposite, Dr. Bing. I am trying to say that I don't think it's all right that we have an energy secretary who appears to be racking up air miles like nobody's business, splashing out five-star hotels at the taxpayers' expense, and doing absolutely naff all about anything. So that is where I'm at. But we're going to have to knock it on that, I'm afraid. Dr. Bing Jones, there's a climate activist, not flown anywhere for 20 years. Thinks it's absolutely fine that Ed Miliband's flown to Brazil and back twice in the last couple of weeks. Anyway, when we come back, we are of course going to be talking about Robert Jemrick utterly humiliating David Lammy.
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks introduced by this Justice Secretary.
But now, Sir Keir Starmer has lost the military. Stay tuned.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Well, the breaking news right now is that Downing Street has gone into full-blown meltdown. Reports emerged in the last hour or so that Sir Keir Starmer is facing a leadership contest from, well, principally Wes Streeting, who they now openly accuse of plotting against him. The other ones apparently plotting are Shabana Mahmood, as well as Angela Rayner and, believe it or not, Ed Miliband. This is a developing story. They are briefing against each other left, right and centre now. It feels like the kind of fall of Rome, really. So at 10 p.m, I will have the latest for you. This story is moving at pace. But here's another big one. It looks like Sir Keir Starmer might have lost the military. 9 former top British generals have accused Sir Keir Starmer of putting national security at risk with the continued prosecution of our brave veterans. In a letter to The Times, the 9 signatories warned that so-called legal warfare is leading to an exodus from the elite units like the SAS. They say today every British soldier deployed must consider not only the enemy in the front of them, but the lawyer behind them. Make no mistake, our closest allies are watching uneasily. This government scrapped the previous Tory government's Troubles Bill, which would have given immunity to historic prosecutions. Well, I'm very pleased to be joined now by one of the signatories of that letter, former commander of the Joint Forces Command, General Sir Christopher Deverill. Thank you so much. Do you think Sir Keir Starmer's lost the military?
No, I think the whole point of this letter was to ensure that the message that the veterans have been giving for some time now about this bill got to the top of government. And I'm very much hoping that the government will think again as a result of that message.
So you want him pretty straightforwardly to stop these historic prosecutions, and that was a strong line that I thought that when you go into battle, especially the elite units, I imagine you've got your enemy in front of you and you've got the lawyer behind you. So I mean, could you just explain what that really means for people?
Well, there is a concern that obviously soldiers have to abide by the law of armed conflict or the legal framework that applies at the time of their actions. But there is a concern that we might look back at actions taken 50 years ago under different legal circumstances and judge them by the circumstances of today. And that worries people. And it worries people, not just looking back at Northern Ireland, but it also worries people about the future. You know, what is going to happen in future? Will our servicemen and women be supported by the government?
And how much of an impact is this having both potentially on recruitment, but also about people who are already in the armed forces and the special forces leaving?
Well, I think it's a general concern that you hear from people quite commonly now. In terms of numbers of people leaving, I don't think the numbers are great, certainly not as yet. But any people who leave, in particular special forces, are worrying. These people are at the tip of the spear. They're the ones most likely to be used in operations, and therefore they are the ones we most want to ensure have confidence in the system that's behind them.
Just very quickly, because we're pressed for time, it does, to me anyway, seem quite unprecedented that so many very senior figures from the military would come out and write an open letter to a serving Prime Minister, is it not?
Yes, I think it is unprecedented, but that just shows the deep seriousness in which we take the issue.
Yeah, indeed. Look, thank you very, very, very much for your time this evening, and I hope that you get the resolution that you want on today of all days, of course. And I hope that you do know that the overwhelming majority of people are right full square behind you. Says General Sir Christopher Deverill there. Thank you very, very much. A government spokesperson has said, after these false promises of the last government, we are putting in place 6 real workable protections for the veterans that the failed Legacy Act never did. We will not allow the process, like so many times before, to become the punishment for our veterans. These robust safeguards will ensure the rights of those who serve their nation so honourably are protected whilst providing victims with a human rights complaints, fair and transparent system to seek answers. Right, we're going to have an action-packed hour coming your way. Starts with this.
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks.
Robert Jenrick joins us live. David Lammy has been humiliated, loads more prisoners released, but also Sir Keir Starmer is facing a leadership challenge. Next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. It's time for your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, there will be more rain to come for many places, but also some dry and bright weather, particularly across a central slice of the UK. Now, we currently have an area of low pressure out towards the west, and this is driving some blustery winds and some wet weather due to a frontal system that's marching its way across. We have a front clearing away towards the north as we go overnight, but lingering across the far north of Scotland, and then a front pushing eastwards, but also lingering across some southern southeastern parts, so a fair bit of rain to come. But in between those two wetter areas where things will stay pretty mild, there's some drier, clearer weather, and here things could turn a little fresh. Some rural spots could drop into low single figures perhaps. But in the south, where we have this cloud and rain, it is going to be a wet and blustery start to the day for many places. The rain could be quite heavy, particularly in the southwest. Across much of Wales and central England, dry but cloudy to start. Brighter across much of Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Across the rest of Scotland, though, quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain could be a little bit heavy at times as well. As we go through the day, some of that rain across parts of Scotland, well, that's going to continue, may edge a little bit further southwards towards the borders area. Meanwhile, the heavier, more persistent rain in the south, that pushes its way northwards, and that's going to spread across Wales, the Midlands and into northern England later on as well. It is still mild out there at the moment, especially so towards the southeast. Once that rain clears away, there'll be some brightness, and so we're looking at temperatures reaching around 16 Celsius. Then Thursday, a bit of a messy day for many places. Some rain across parts of Scotland, northern England and Northern Ireland. A bit of rain in the far south of England as well. Drier, brighter across the Midlands and Wales and the far north of Scotland, seeing a few showers. And then on Friday, colder air pushing into northern parts. Meanwhile, some heavy rain and strong winds affecting some southern areas. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. And we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
I have been informed, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon that HMPPS are investigating a further case of a potential release in error on the 3rd of November who may still be at large.
David Lammy's lost 91 more prisoners. He doesn't even know if some of them are still on the run. The only reason we found out that David Lammy is releasing women from prisons to make room for men is because he accidentally emailed his plans to this guy.
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks, introduced by this Justice Secretary.
Robert Jenrick will be in this studio in a few minutes' time, where we'll also discuss this.
Thousands of tools. Lots of tools have got tradesmen's marks on them.
There's a bloke's name on that, Jamie. Someone's nicked that, haven't they? Are you going to make up some money out of that guy? This is just the contents of some bloke's van, isn't it? Where is this all from?
Also tonight,
I commit this Labour government to nothing less than the abolition of long-term youth unemployment.
unemployment has today surged to 5%. Labour is bankrupting Britain, but don't worry.
Involve getting rid of the two-child benefit.
You won't have to wait much longer, but I wouldn't be telling you that we're going to drive down child poverty if I wasn't clear that we will be taking a number of measures in order to do so.
They're going to make you pay so foreigners can have more kids that they can't afford. And some massive breaking news happening right now. Sir Keir Starmer's allies have accused Wes Streeting of plotting to oust him from office. Now, supporters of Wes Streeting go to war with Number 10. It's kicking right off, actually, because there's other cabinet ministers supposedly involved in this plot as well. Shabana Mahmood is one of them. Ed Miliband is another. Apparently, Angela Rayner's even got involved. There is a circular firing squad going on in Downing Street as we speak, and I will get you the very latest. On my panel tonight, we have got GBNews contributor Will Kingston, we've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh, you must be loving this, and journalist Jonathan Liss. And those are scenes from Sir Keir Starmer's constituency this evening, where Bob Villan has been playing and chants of death, death to the IDF rung out. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Plots to oust Sir Keir Starmer, and Labour going to tax you more so that foreigners can have more kids they can't afford. Next.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Good evening to you. 3 minutes past 10 here in the GB newsroom. It's emerged Sir Keir Starmer's allies are moving to protect the Prime Minister amid fears he's vulnerable to a leadership challenge in the wake of the budget. Number 10 is said to be in full bunker mode over growing speculation. Health Secretary Wes Streeting or Shabana Mahmood could be planning to move against him, despite being thought to be amongst his closest cabinet allies. Mr Streeting has fiercely denied having designs on the top job in the past. Senior Downing Street aides are warning that any attempt to oust the Prime Minister would be a reckless move that could destabilise the Labour Party. The Culture Secretary says the BBC must uphold the highest standards, but has warned against sustained attacks on the broadcaster. Lisa Nandy's been addressing the Commons about the crisis engulfing the BBC, saying the concerns are serious, and the corporation has faced criticism from all sides for its coverage of highly contentious and contested issues. Earlier, the outgoing Director-General, Tim Davie, told staff the BBC must stand up for its journalism. It comes after Donald Trump, the US President, threatened to sue for $1 billion. Ms Nandy disagreed with some in the House over allegations of institutional bias.
Those in this House attacking the BBC from left and right for not expressing views they agree with should consider just what is at stake. There is a fundamental difference between raising serious concerns over editorial failings and members of this House launching a sustained attack on the institution itself. Because the BBC is not just a broadcaster, it is a national institution that belongs to us all.
The Justice Secretary has admitted another prisoner may have been released by mistake last week, saying authorities aren't sure if that person's still at large. David Lammy confirmed earlier that 91 prisoners have been freed by mistake since April this year and that 3 are still on the run, adding that none of the 3 are convicted sex offenders. Last week it emerged 2 inmates were freed in error following the high-profile case of Hadush Kibatu, the now deported migrant, at the heart of the protests in Epping. An NHS manager who sexually abused and raped young girls after grooming them on Snapchat has been jailed for 28 years. Paul Lipscomb pleaded guilty to 34 offences against 6 girls he met on the social media platform, including sexual grooming, sexual assault and 2 counts of rape of a child under 13. Police discovered he'd used fake names and lied about his age to win over his victims. Snapchat says it is committed to combating sexual exploitation of young people. A woman caught with £5 billion worth of Bitcoin has been jailed for almost 12 years for money laundering. Kian Jimin was caught when police raided her Airbnb in York last April. Police says she fled China in 2017, arriving in the UK on a false passport before using funds stolen from thousands of Chinese pensioners to buy over 60,000 Bitcoins. It is the country's biggest cryptocurrency seizure. Finally, campaigners for so-called WASPy women have welcomed the government's announcement to reconsider its decision not to compensate them. More than 3.5 million women born in the 1950s claim they weren't properly informed of the rise in state pension age to bring them into line with men. Last December, ministers announced they were denying compensation to those in that category. However, the Work and Pensions Secretary Pat McFadden says it's not a guarantee that the original decision will change. Those are your headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Good evening. There's breaking news happening right now, which is that Sir Keir Starmer is facing, quote, an existential threat. There are leadership challenges taking place. It's believed that Wes Streeting is plotting to oust him from office, and that is confirmed, seemingly, by Sir Keir Starmer's allies, who have openly accused Wes Streeting of plotting to get rid of the Prime Minister. There are some other names being floated around here of other cabinet figures who are trying to get rid of Sir Keir Starmer. Those include the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, those include Energy Secretary Ed Miliband, and of course the former Deputy Leader Angela Rayner. There is a circular firing squad going on in Downing Street at the moment. They're all pointing at each other, denying things, accusing everyone of everything else. From what we understand, the plot could be, quote, imminent. But by imminent, what they mean is potentially as soon as after the budget, or wait for Sir Keir Starmer to get a monumental kicking at the May elections, which, let's be honest, he probably will, and then take it from there. But tonight, it's a remarkable scene that Downing Street sources, Sir Keir Starmer allies, are now openly accusing Wes Streeting of trying to oust him. Wes Streeting, by the way, is due to give a speech at midday tomorrow. That'll be one to watch, won't it? For his part, he denies it, but you would deny it, wouldn't you? So there we go. I mean, if Downing Street genuinely believes that Wes Streeting is trying to oust Sir Keir Starmer, and they claim, by the way, they claim that they have been aware that Wes Streeting was on manoeuvres for months, but they believe that they have been, as it's been reported, they've come into some information in the last few days which suggests that he is stepping that up. If they genuinely believe that, Sir Keir Starmer cannot keep Wes Streeting in his cabinet, can he? So something's going to have to happen there. We will have more on that shortly, and I'm also going to be joined by Robert Jenrick as well, who's the Shadow Justice Minister. So that could be a very, very interesting segment. But it's no wonder they're all trying to get rid of Sir Keir Starmer, is it? Because Labour has created an economic disaster. Today, unemployment has risen to 5%. We've had 13 consecutive months of rising unemployment. In the last 2 months, 64,000 people have lost their jobs. 180,000 people have lost their jobs in the last year. It's the highest and fastest rate of unemployment since COVID. Back then, we had a health pandemic to blame. Now, we just have a pandemic of incompetence from this Labour government. You can see here the unemployment figures under Labour versus those under the Tories. Wage growth is the lowest since April 2022, which was also during COVID, I believe, unless, of course, you work in Labour's beloved public sector. So the private sector saw wage increases of just 4.2% between July and September. The public sector saw 6.6% wage growth. Take London Underground staff, for example. Their wages grew by 8.9%, so they can stand by and watch fare dodgers jump the barriers.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Nearly 1 in 25 people using London's public transport aren't paying for it.
Of course, they can just not clean graffiti off the carriages.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out.
This is people's lives we're talking about, all right? The highest unemployment rate is amongst men. And it's worth noting as well, when you look at that graph, that suicide is the single biggest killer of men under the age of 50 in the UK. Now, let that sink in. More men die from taking their own lives under the age of 50 than from any illness or disease. And I have no doubt that unemployment plays a huge role in that. Rachel Reeves is already responsible for the highest tax-rising budget on record. Look at that, right at the very top there. Now, I was very critical of Rishi Sunak, but I tell you what, he was right about this, wasn't he?
No, this is important. Mark my words. Labour will raise your taxes. It's in their DNA. Your work, your car, your pension.
Thank you. OK,
you name it,
sorry,
Labour will tax it.
Yep. Remember when Rachel Reeves did this?
We will increase the rates of employers' national insurance by 1.2 percentage points to 15% from April 2025.
She hiked national insurance for employers. She did that, and now we have the results. People are losing their livelihoods. And look at the very latest opinion polls. 57% of the British public are now in favour of cutting taxes, even if that means less spending on public services. Starmer now has a net approval rating of -45, which is the lowest since records began. 40% of people blame this Labour government for our economic mess. Just 14%, 1-4, blame the Tories. And 66% of people think Rachel Reeves should resign if she raises income tax. These unemployment figures mean that we now have fewer people paying more tax to subsidise more people. And what is Labour's response to that? Scrapping the two-child benefit cap entirely. Sir Keir Starmer even hinted at it today.
Involve getting rid of the two-child benefit.
You won't have to wait much longer, but I wouldn't be telling you that we're going to drive down child poverty if I wasn't clear that we will be taking a number of measures in order to do so.
Did you know that nearly 17% of all people on universal credit benefits are foreign nationals? This Labour government is seemingly about to make it so that you have to pay them so that those people can have as many children as they want. And also, as well, just a line that came to, which is apparently today it was revealed that we now have a record 4 million people on benefits in this country, on universal credit. It's remarkable, isn't it? We are in catastrophic territory. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got GBNews contributor Will Kingston, we've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh and journalist Jonathan Liss. Well, look, loads going on tonight. Obviously, I've got that breaking news about leadership challenges to Sir Keir Starmer, which we'll come on to in a bit. But, can I start with you on this? So when it comes to the unemployment rate and how devastating this is, what do you make of some of those figures that we heard there?
Oh, they're devastating. So you've got 8 million people on out-of-work benefits, of which 50%, that's 4 million, don't have to even look for work. Yeah. It has absolutely gone off the Richter scale. You talked about how many people are now no longer on the payroll. 32,000 fewer this month, 32,000 fewer the month before, something like 180,000 since the last budget. No, Rachel Reeves has taken a sledgehammer to the economy, and when she taxed jobs, whatever you tax, you have less of, and she did absolutely that to jobs. She put businesses under pressure. She's knocked the confidence, and also with their employment rights bill, they're all in a sort of a hiatus at the moment. They don't want to do anything. So she is squeezing all those who are working more and more and more to give to people who aren't working and will never at this rate work. And you've got 1 million young people not in work or education, and that is a disaster as well.
Now, of course, the Conservatives can't get off with a free pass here. They made it very easy not to work during their time in office. And then
I'm
Labor...
going to stop you right there. Having been the Secretary of State of DWP, I'll tell you what did happen, right? We got employment to record high levels. We actually got 1,000 more people into work each and every day. Where it went wrong, and I will tell you this, is during lockdown. Until then, we didn't. We got employment at record rates. So that's how you've got your facts right.
OK, well, as I said, I think we believe that lockdowns went on for far too long during the United Kingdom, and that was under the Conservative government. That's not the point of the exercise. The fundamental point here is that we are going broke as a country, and therefore we need to reduce spending dramatically. At the same time, not enough British citizens are having children. So there is this balancing act that needs to be done here. But there are smarter things you can do than, say, scrapping the two-child benefit cap. Patrick, I've told you before on the show about innovative ways like, for example, reducing income tax rates for the more kids you have, like, for example, Hungary. We need to think more strategically if we want to grow the economy as opposed to just spend, spend, spend.
So Rachel Reeves has seen in the last 2 months 64,000 people, I think, lose their jobs, 180,000 in the year to October. How does she sleep at night?
Well, look, it's not for me to speculate on how she sleeps at night, but what I can tell you is that, and I told your colleagues this at the time as well, is that Labour made a catastrophic blunder at the time of the election by ruling out some of the easiest ways to make money, which were income tax, national insurance and VAT. And by ruling those out and by claiming that they could only raise money by VAT on school fees, and they didn't need to raise taxes by any other means.
Non-doms.
And non-doms, fine. That was very foolish because it took people for fools, and also it was, if they had been honest with people and said we need to raise money because the country has been left in a shambles after 14 years of Conservative misrule, people would still have voted for them. But now the problem is that we have is that they do need to raise money. So of course they need to raise taxes.
There's two sides to a balance sheet, Jonathan. You can either raise money through taxes or you can cut spending. But we both know that the Labor Party can't cut spending because their party won't let them do so. And there's so much low-hanging fruit. You just
it's
talked
not
about...
just the party, though, because no one wants austerity. How popular do you think austerity is?
Can I just say, raising taxes on anyone, even if they are earning a bit more money, is still austerity.
Yeah. Well, that is not a view that is shared by most people.
Well, because no, I'm sorry, it's not a view shared by most people on the left, because most people on the left
it's not a view that's shared by most people in general.
Brain whatsoever. It is still austerity. Asking someone seriously, it is, and the combination here of expecting people who are starting out and have just started to maybe do slightly well for themselves, and gaslighting people by saying if you earn 46 grand a year, is it, or 56 grand a year, you're rich now, you're rich, but we are now going to be paying to subsidise people, many of whom will not have been born in the UK, to have as many kids as they want, Esther, by the looks of things.
So this is a massive mistake, getting rid of this two-child cap. And just so people know, child benefit goes to every child, all of your children. It is just the tax credit element in universal credit which will be stopped after 2 children, which, by the way, only came in with Gordon Brown in 2003. And this is the bit that the Conservatives stopped, because they said, why? Because most families only have 2 kids or less. The number of kids people have now is 1.45. So there was a fairness. Who gets the money? Well, we'll stop benefits at that rate as well for the tax credit. So there was a fairness there. Also, if you have more children, it's not just about benefits. You then give them the house. They again get prescriptions. They get so many other things. The bill will go absolutely off the Richter scale. And it is wrong to be saying to people who are working, you're not having any more children, but if you're on benefits, we're going to pay for absolutely
the fundamental point.
So it's wrong.
The fundamental point that I often have with people on the right is that you may have legitimate concerns about people who are irresponsible, feckless is the word that Thatcher used to use, and having children when they can't afford them. But that is not the fault of the child. I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that children are not to blame for anything. And that if you are basically
but it's
having...
the parents who will choose to have one.
But that's not the point, then.
Can I also say, and again, this is lost in the mix, although you say it's going to stop at 2 children, actually, should there be multiple births, it would be more than that. If the child's disabled, you'll still be getting universal credit. There's so many exemptions within this as well. So there is a fairness and a kindness within this benefit, but absolutely no, you shouldn't. Labour's borrowing 190 billion a year.
Even reform supports getting rid of the
two-child.
Only for
wrong
British
on that.
Only for British citizens.
And a mistake
which is
as well
a key
by
difference.
reform.
And that's what I don't understand. Why can't you just say the welfare system is for British citizens more generally?
Well, because I don't think the foreign children should deserve to live in poverty either. Or foreign-born children either.
Labour couldn't get 5 billion past its backbenchers. They're not going to do this, and it is a major mistake, and they're destroying the country.
All right, look, there is huge pressure on Sir Keir Starmer. And by the way, this budget that we're talking about here and the economic and employment mess that we find ourselves in is the thing that could tip him over the edge. That breaking news this evening is that there is an open revolt going on in the Labour Party, which appears to be that multiple different cabinet ministers are considering ousting Sir Keir Starmer the second that Rachel Reeves delivers that budget. But I tell you what, Rachel, don't worry, because obviously you could go on out of work employment benefits, but apart from that, you could win 40 grand in tax-free cash in time for Christmas. Come on, Rachel, enter the giveaway.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts, the tree, the trimmings, everything you might need for a fantastic festive day. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
When we come back, it looks like it's finally happening. That huge breaking news. The Prime Minister is fighting for his political future this evening, facing leadership challenges from multiple cabinet ministers, including Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood, and obviously formerly a cabinet minister, Angela Rayner. Full details soon, but...
They're Lammy's lags, a whole new category of criminal who can just waltz out of prison despite having the strongest ever checks, introduced by this Justice Secretary.
David Lammy's accidentally let 91 people out since April. Doesn't even know if one of them has now actually handed himself back in. Complete car crash. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick joins me live in this studio in a second.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
It's about this project. What are you doing with it, and what are you hoping to achieve?
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Anne. Hope you're well.
Hi. Yes.
I'm partnering with Genesis Care, which is a private healthcare company, and basically following their research, which shared that the number one fear of people who get diagnosed with glioblastoma is that they lose their memories. Now, that's obviously affects me because Tom was my brother, and his 2 points in his life was raising awareness to treatments and the power of positivity. Tom's family were called the Positive Parkers, and we were an extension of the Positive Parkers. So Genesis Care have created this campaign called the Memory Bank, which is an art installation that basically you go to. It was in the Westgate Shopping Centre in Cambridge, and now it's in the Genesis Care Centre.
Just here in the UK, it's about 13,000 people are diagnosed with this sort of primary brain tumour, glioblastoma, as you were saying. Did Tom ever say that that was his greatest fear, was losing his memory?
He didn't really. Tom lived in the moment. He never made us feel like he was diagnosed. He was always positive. Even in his worst days, he'd come in with a smile on his face. And what comes to mind is he'd go into an interview like this and say wonderful things about life, like such spiritual, deep messages. And I'd turn to him and I'd say, Tom, that was just phenomenal. And he'll say, like, I've no idea what I just said.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Let's deal with that big breaking news that's happening all around us right now. Sir Keir Starmer is apparently facing leadership challenges from multiple different fronts. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has been forced to issue an extraordinary denial and publicly distanced himself from these rumours. However, those rumours were put out by members of Sir Keir Starmer's inner circle, that he is one of these plotters. Some of the other plotters allegedly include the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. She's said to be on manoeuvres. Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, is likely to emerge as the kingmaker, believe it or not. Apparently, Ed Miliband is even one of these people as well. Well, you might have been able to hear some mutterings beside me there, because we already had booked in the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, and we've been slightly overtaken by events. We'll come on to the David Lammy fiasco. Robert, thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening.
What do you make of this? I mean, it's made the front page of The Guardian, amongst other newspapers, at number 10 on alert amid fears of challenge to leadership. It appears like there's open war in Downing Street this evening.
Well, it looks like total chaos, doesn't it? You've basically got a very weak Prime Minister who is one, if not the most unpopular Prime Minister of modern times. The government is failing on multiple fronts, and now he's totally hostage to his members of Parliament and his cabinet. All the while, you've got rising unemployment, taxes are about to go up in the budget, we've got open borders, we've got prisoners walking free, NHS strikes about to happen. Someone needs to get a grip. It's a total joke, this government, at the moment.
Well, I mean, obviously, I know people will be shouting at their TV screens that the Tories know a thing or two about changing leader, don't they? But I think even by previous standards, this is pretty extraordinary stuff. If Sir Keir Starmer genuinely believes, as his own aides have been briefing this evening, that Wes Streeting is openly plotting to oust him, surely they have to get rid of Wes Streeting.
Well, look, I don't know what's going on with all these relationships, but it's clear that there's infighting, right, left and centre within the Labour cabinet. And the loser in this is the British public, because we've got a government that doesn't have any plan, doesn't seem to know what it's doing. There's all of these challenges facing the country right now, huge challenges. And yet they're going to be distracted now for weeks, maybe months. What is it going to be 6 months now of speculation leading up to the May local elections? That's the last thing the country needs, where we want actually some leadership at the moment.
The rumour is it might happen sooner. So supposedly, this is another line for you that's just emerging right now, which is that apparently Starmer's allies believe that Wes Streeting has 50 front benchers willing to stand down if the budget lands badly. I mean, that's
I think we're guaranteed that the budget is going to land badly.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, what's your money on then? Do you think there's going to be a contest after the budget, or wait till May?
No, I honestly, I've no idea. I don't have a window into the soul of the Labour Party.
Yeah, all right. OK, well, we'll leave that there. But no, when the front page is coming in a few minutes' time, we'll give you a say. But thank you for being a good sport on that breaking news. But I mean, the main reason why we initially wanted to have you on was, of course, there was a bit of back and forth in Parliament today. David Lammy's been back at it again, hasn't he? I think we can play you a clip of David Lammy in Parliament earlier today.
New data my department published today shows that from April to the end of October this year, there were 91 releases in error from prison. I have been informed, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon that HMPPS are investigating a further case of a potential release in error on the 3rd of November who may still be at large. Mr. Speaker, I hope the right honourable gentleman opposite will join me in that apology to all who have suffered because of releases in error under this and previous governments.
So David Lammy's lost 91 prisoners since April, is that right? And including it was one he doesn't know if he's returned or not.
Well, it seems to be. Look, it's a total mess, isn't it? Let's be honest. David Lammy came to Parliament today, was forced to come to Parliament, really, and he admitted that a prisoner is being accidentally released from our jails pretty much every day right now. And some of them are still out on the loose. There's even this one where he doesn't know whether he's been released or not. I mean, I don't even understand what that means. Can't they just go to the prison cell and see if the bloke is in there or not? Is he in? Is he out? It just shows that they've lost complete control of our prisons at the moment. It really is a total mess. And what is David Lammy doing about it? He said a week or so ago that he was putting in place the strongest ever checks to stop this happening. And then more people have been released since then. So they were obviously totally flawed. He's come back to Parliament today with a whole load of a new waffle of things that he's going to do. He needs to get a grip because this is very serious. It means that dangerous people like sex offenders, foreign national offenders who should be being deported are out on the streets. The police are wasting time with manhunts in London, in Surrey, in numerous places across the country. And victims of these crimes, like the young girl in Epping who'd been sexually assaulted, They are living in fear because they're worried that these people are going to come back to their communities and confront them once again.
Is it true that the only reason we now know about plans to let female prisoners out of prison to make way for men is because David Lammy's team accidentally emailed you about it?
Yes. Look, this is Calamity Lammy striking once again. His officials sent an email accidentally to me saying that they had this new plan which they were dreaming up, which would mean that female criminals would be let out of jail and would live in the community in order to free up spaces for men in prisons. And wait for it, it would actually cost more than a prison cell. So it would cost 100 grand per person per year to live somewhere or other in the community. I mean, there are parts of Britain where you could buy a house for 100 grand, and that's much more expensive than the average prison cell costs per year. So it seems to me to be a completely mad scheme. David Lammy didn't deny it in the House of Commons, so no doubt this is the next version of early release. Yet more criminals avoiding being in prison.
Well, one of the things that David Lammy invited you to do was to apologise yourself for some of the previous Conservative failings, because, of course, prisoners being released by mistake is not an accident. Sorry, is not a new thing, I should say. So would you like to take this opportunity to apologise for prisoners who were released under the Tories by mistake?
No, look, I think this is a problem that's largely of David Lammy and this Labour government's creation. There's always been prisoners who've been accidentally released. And look, I don't defend that for 1 minute. It's a disgrace that anyone is released accidentally from our prison. I mean, that's a ludicrous euphemism, isn't it? Like, these people should never be let out onto the streets. However, the numbers have skyrocketed under Labour. They rose by 130% in the first year of this Labour government, and the numbers that David Lammy told us today suggest that it's still very high by historic standards. Why is that? Well, the former Chief Inspector of Prisons said that when Labour created the early release scheme in the first weeks after they came to power, it was basically botched. It was disastrously executed, and it meant that prisoners were being let out willy-nilly without the prison service really understanding what was going on, because it was all way too complicated. As a result of that, the public are in danger. This is actually very serious.
Yeah.
We laugh about David Lammy and his incompetence, but it's very serious because dangerous people are out on our streets, and the whole criminal justice system is being made to look like a total joke at the moment.
Well, on that note, I mean, obviously it is a very, very serious thing. We have had a serious discussion about it, but there was another call for you to apologise from some courts this week, because there was a little clip that was put out, wasn't there? I think we might be able to play this.
You've been playing
this day. I have been playing this clip, actually, but yes, there you go. Would you like to apologise for putting an AI clip of David Lammy out there on your social media?
Well, look, Patrick, I do want to apologise, actually. I want to apologise to clowns everywhere in the country for comparing them to David Lammy. I didn't actually create this. Some other inventive person created this AI picture of David Lammy dressed as a clown. But his behaviour, I think, warrants it. He's behaved absolutely appallingly. He's one of the most incompetent ministers in a government with a lot of incompetent ministers. And so you've got to be able to have a bit of a sense of humour now and again and highlight it.
All right, well, no doubt David Lammy would deny he's a clown. I want to thank you for coming on. I would also just say as well, one of the reasons we initially got you on was to do this video that you did about tool theft as well, which is a very serious issue. However, the potential toppling of the Prime Minister and then what happened in the House of Commons, I think, has slightly bumped it. So there we go. But it was Robert Gemry there, of course, and you, as the Shadow Justice Secretary. Right, well, look, coming up, all the front pages, and expect more detail now. It's emerging every few minutes, this, on the plots to oust, yes, plots, plural, to oust Sir Keir Starmer. That's next.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A lot of fine weather at the moment across the Med, but whilst it's warm in Spain, there is some wet and windy weather moving through Madeira, approaching the Channel Islands and also affecting Portugal. Later, that's going to push through parts of Spain, but ahead of it we've got a southerly airflow and above average temperatures, a lot of sunshine through Italy into Greece as well. Keen breeze here, 1 or 2 showers, and you can see that unsettled weather affecting Tenerife on Thursday.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. It's time for your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, there will be more rain to come for many places, but also some dry and bright weather, particularly across a central slice of the UK. Now, we currently have an area of low pressure out towards the west, and this is driving some blustery winds and some wet weather due to a frontal system that's marching its way across. We have a front clearing away towards the north as we go overnight, but lingering across the far north of Scotland, and then a front pushing eastwards, but also lingering across some southern southeastern parts, so a fair bit of rain to come. But in between those two wetter areas where things will stay pretty mild, there's some drier, clearer weather, and here things could turn a little fresh. Some rural spots could drop into low single figures perhaps. But in the south, where we have this cloud and rain, it is going to be a wet and blustery start to the day for many places. The rain could be quite heavy, particularly in the southwest. Across much of Wales and central England, dry but cloudy to start. Brighter across much of Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Across the rest of Scotland, though, quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain could be a little bit heavy at times as well. As we go through the day, some of that rain across parts of Scotland, well, that's going to continue, may edge a little bit further southwards towards the borders area. Meanwhile, the heavier, more persistent rain in the south, that pushes its way northwards, and that's going to spread across Wales, the Midlands and into northern England later on as well. It is still mild out there at the moment, especially so towards the southeast. Once that rain clears away, there'll be some brightness, and so we're looking at temperatures reaching around 16 Celsius. Then Thursday, a bit of a messy day for many places. Some rain across parts of Scotland, northern England and Northern Ireland. Bit of rain in the far south of England as well. Dry, bright across the Midlands and Wales and the far north of Scotland, seeing a few showers. And then on Friday, colder air pushing into northern parts. Meanwhile, some heavy rain and strong winds affecting some southern areas. Bye-bye.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, welcome back. Right, let's do the front pages. We start with The Guardian, and it's the big one, actually, for once. Number 10 is on alert amid fears of a leadership challenge. And so Number 10 is now openly briefing, or allies close to Keir Starmer are openly briefing, that Wes Streeting is plotting to oust him, saying that they've become aware of more information in the last couple of days that show that Wes Streeting has got potentially 50 front benchers willing to stand down if the budget lands badly, which it will. So there you go. I'll just give you some of the other front pages and then we'll focus on that. The Daily Telegraph. We are the best of society, the very best society. No, that's not a quote from, say, our veterans or anything like that. That's a quote from the outgoing Director General of the BBC, Sir Tim Davies. So well done, Tim. The Sun, I'm a celebrity, get me out of this. Apparently, stars are looking to force a limit on the amount of jungle trials that they can do. This is I'm a Celebrity, obviously. A new rule means just 2 in a row. Well,
big news there.
Yeah, big news, but also very weak. If you put me on I'm a Celebrity, I'd happily do every single one of those Bush Tucker trials. Do it, stack it up. Anyway, the Metro, £5 billion crypto queen jailed. Fine, don't care. The Independent, defiant BBC boss. We must fight for our journalism. Must you? Must you? Must you? OK, let's go on The Guardian then. Esther, I'm going to throw this over to you, because you are, of course...
I say this is pretty spot on. There's two contenders on the left, which is Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband, and two contenders on the right, which is Shabana Mahmood and Wes Streeting. So that's right. And if you walk around Parliament, you will frequently see Wes in a little gaggle of people. So he's absolutely trying to whip up support there. And I'd also say check out the register of members' interests and how much money Wes has got coming to him as donations. And there isn't a general election happening where you could get donations. There's a lot there, and I would say that is purely for a leadership bid. And then I wonder...
So can you just explain to me, how does that money actually get used when you are trying to push for the leadership?
Right, so he's be holding on to it at the moment until the firing gun goes, and then he will have a leadership election. So he'll be going around the country, he'll be speaking to people, he'll be trying to get the votes in. He'll need them of the members. Yeah. He'll also need them of MPs. So you actually just go out on a big campaign to try and win. But I wonder here, is Starmer trying to spike his guns? He's heard about it. He wants to knock him off course, because I know in the Conservative Party, whoever wields the knife never actually wins the leadership. So is he trying to force him out straight away?
Well, we'll just be clear on this again. Some of the more details. Cabinet ministers told The Guardian, so they have openly now told The Guardian, that Wes Streeting was just one of several Labour figures on manoeuvres. They include people like, who are the people that you've just named there, I won't repeat it. They've interpreted this Downing Street intervention as a, quote, stop Wes strategy that was designed to warn off it. We should just at this point point out that Wes Streeting is tipped to lose his own seat. Yeah. Right, so he's supposedly, I mean, all the polling would suggest that Wes Streeting is going to lose his seat in Ilford. He's going to lose it to a Gaza independent. Yeah. Very nearly lost it last time. So, you know, this just shows how much trouble they're in, really, as a party, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is as close to a political certainty as it gets. So we've spoken about this, I think, possibly off air. They will have to try and find some way to move him to a safer seat, and whether they come up with some sort of excuse, or they're just honest and they say, look, this is our leader, we need to make sure that he actually wins his seat, so we're moving him here, which I actually think would be better politics. I don't know, but they would have to do that. But in some respects, this is a surprising story. But in most respects, it's the most unsurprising story of all time, because this has always been a when, not if question about Starmer's leadership.
It's also about Streeting, though, because Streeting has been on manoeuvres for as long as he's been in Parliament. He has always been an incredibly ambitious politician. He's always wanted the top job. I can remember being at university. He was a couple of years above me at university, and he was the head of the student union, and people were talking even then about how ambitious he was. So this is not a new thing.
Breaking news that you're younger than Wes Streeting, though, isn't it?
That's meaner than anything I've said.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I didn't actually mean it.
I know my angles anyway. It's fine.
That's all right.
The only thing I'll say, and I think you're right there, is he particularly likeable, and will he win the vote? Who is in the House? I don't think the MPs are necessarily behind him. A lot more of it's to the left. And the membership who would be voting in whoever the leader is are fundamentally to the left, and I don't think he'd win that either.
So Sir Keir Starmer is apparently, his allies are claiming that, well, if you got rid of Sir Keir Starmer, it would destabilise the markets. Well,
I mean, that's the weakest argument of all.
It's the weakest argument of all, isn't it? I mean, the markets are absolutely knackered.
But the bigger problem is it doesn't really matter who the leader is, because the fundamental challenges that this country faces, the Labor Party are either incapable or unwilling to solve, whether it be on borders or whether it be on the economy. They are ideologically strapped away from being able to solve these problems.
They are, and get this, in a beautiful kind of chef's kiss style twist of fate, Wes Streeting is on the morning round tomorrow. So Wes Streeting is going to be doing the morning media round tomorrow.
He might not be now.
And he's due to give a speech at midday.
Right, so what will happen is that he will have to put up or shut up. So that's actually, they've outmanoeuvred him, really, because he will either have to say... Right, exactly. So he'll have to say, I'm not going to challenge Starmer, in which case he will completely be destroyed, essentially. Or he's going to say, I will, or he's just going to give a non-committal answer, and people will see him as being slippery.
Esther, is there any chance at all that his team would have leaked it themselves?
No.
No chance at all?
No, because you don't want to do that. You want to be the saviour, not the person who's precipitated the loss of the leader. And I think most people wouldn't want to go now. Actually, they'd want to be going after the bad news of the local elections. We know it's going to be a bad budget, but you'd wait till that was over, the local elections are over, and come in then.
Which does give, I think, a lot of credibility to Patrick's hypothesis that this is actually Starmer trying to get ahead of the game. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing to say here is that if Labour genuinely, Starmer's allies, genuinely believe that West Streeting is on manoeuvres and that these cabinet sources are correct, that some of the other big hitters are, surely Starmer has to get rid of West Streeting.
Oh, very dangerous move to do that. You always say, don't put him on the backbenchers, because if you do, he's got a lot more time to go round the backbenchers and also get more support. I mean, when you're actually a cabinet minister, a lot of your time is taken up being a cabinet minister. He's got to run, you know, the whole health department, so I wouldn't be moving.
Well, that brings Angela Rayner into the game.
They usually move them to Foreign Office to get them out the country.
You were going to say something?
I was going to say something, yes, thank you. Oh, I was going to say that apparently there's 50 front benchers who were willing to stand down if the budget landed badly, which I thought was an interesting line, because that's presumably going to be when, not if. But it comes a week after, less than a week after, there were widespread reports of newly elected Labour MPs in that new intake who were having secret meetings.
Here's the thing. This is all very redolent of the dying days of the last Conservative government, when Conservatives began focusing only on themselves. And I say this as someone who's not actually party affiliated, but wants a Labour government to succeed, because the alternative is so dire that it's absolutely the kryptonite. It's poison for Labour to start thinking more about itself and the future of the party than the country. Right. That would be the absolute wrong road to go down.
Yeah, right, we're going to break. We're going to come back. We'll have a bit more on this, because there'll probably be some developments in the next couple of minutes. So I'll be scanning social media for you for the very latest, so don't move.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
We have a very interesting guy in the studio called Will Whitehorn, who's a space expert. And the reason we've got Will in is that NASA have plans to send astronauts to live on the moon. And
it's not how you think, though, is it? It's inside glass bubbles that are going to be made from lunar dust.
OK.
Not in houses.
The American Space Agency is funding research to see if it is possible. And let's get Will, who does believe it's possible. And will you be going, Will?
Well, not to the moon, obviously.
No.
That's going to be a bit expensive. But and I think NASA will be sending astronauts who probably had to train for several years. But I do intend to go to space in the next couple of years, yes.
Mm-hmm. So how's it going to work? So NASA's unveiling this plan to send astronauts to live on the moon, living in glass bubbles.
Yeah, made of basically moon dust. So there's a huge amount of silica and other similar materials on the moon. And basically using a microwave process, like a microwave oven, of a very sophisticated type, they're going to be able to meld those and construct, and also using 3D, technology, they'll also be able to construct the interiors on the moon. Now, that's because rocketry is expensive, so it'd be very expensive to take them up there.
So it's not that you fill a big space container and bring it to the moon full of this stuff and then assemble it there. You're actually going to fabricate it, make it on the lunar surface.
That's one of NASA's plans. So the first mission going back shortly, in which Elon Musk will be involved with the new Starship rocket that you've probably seen. The Starship is the biggest rocket ever built in human history. And that's going to be able to also go to Mars. But it's also going to be able to carry industrial material to space.
Right. GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Let's give you the very first look at the rest of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Thank you. Starting with the I newspaper, fresh hope for waspy women as Labour promises to look again at their compensation.
That'll only be a few billion.
The Daily Mail, 1,000 jobs a day now lost under Rachel Reeves. The Daily Mirror, Harvey Wilgoose murder. I will meet my son's killer. This is the parents of Harvey Wilgoose there. At the Times, 1 million more on benefits with no need to seek work. The Daily Express, 4 million on benefits. Don't have to find a job. So there we go. All right, well, look, obviously there was that breaking news, which is that Sir Keir Starmer is now vowing to fight any leadership challenges. They appear to be coming thick and fast and from multiple different directions. Esther, do you think it will happen after the budget, or will they wait until May for the local elections?
Well, if you're a contender, you'd want it to be after the May, after the local election, so you don't take the hit of the disaster that's about to come. However, as I always say to people, it's not about logical decisions always. It's about emotion, and these will be emotional decisions that have happened. And once something gets up ahead of steam, it can just, you know, roll on without you really arranging it or organising it.
And just to be clear as well, you've with your ear to the ground behind the scenes there, you feel like you've noticed some of these Labour
Oh, absolutely.
people on the news.
When Angela Rayner came back to give her resignation speech, which you don't need to do, that was her already putting herself forward. Remember, she said, I'm a socialist. People have given up on me before, but I'm back. She will be the person for the sort of the trade union, and I think they will like her as a bit of a useful idiot. She will do their bidding for them. No, seriously, she will, and then I believe her other half is already preparing to run the campaign for her. So they're they are already all getting...
Will that be from their house in Hove?
Probably, yes.
Right.
That's why she's moved there.
But she remains hugely popular with the Labor base. She's got an axe to grind. I don't think we've seen the end of the Angela Rayner story. I think she's the dark horse in this ongoing saga.
One thing I would say is that she's been underestimated her entire life. So I certainly agree that...
Has she, though? Or has she been massively over-promoted? No, I'm sorry, there's two ways of looking at that, aren't there?
Well, I just gave you the way I look at it.
Fair enough.
I would say, for me, she was never a champion of the working class. She sorted herself out. She never, like Margaret Thatcher, helped people buy their council houses. No, and all Angela Rayner did was make sure she didn't pay stamp duty. She's all about herself and self-promotion, and the country needs somebody who's about the country and not them. So I think she'll be a disaster.
We're running short of time. Will there be a challenge before the May local elections?
Will there?
Or you'd want to make sure that you were a hero and a champion coming
do you,
out
but
of
do
that.
you think there will be?
Like I said, it'll all be emotion. It won't be logical now. Look, this could start the hairs running now.
Yeah.
This, you think you're spiking West Streeting? You could actually have just prompted the gun to go off and them to start running.
Labour commentator Esther McVeigh heard it here first.
Well, it's someone in the know in terms of the politics, but I mean, when you look, this is probably the big story. So in the next hour, we're going to be getting you all the latest information on Sir Keir Starmer facing leadership challenges. But of course, unemployment's hit 5%. And there's loads more people on benefits who never have to look for a job. Brilliant.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. It's time for your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, there will be more rain to come for many places, but also some dry and bright weather, particularly across a central slice of the UK. Now, we currently have an area of low pressure out towards the west, and this is driving some blustery winds and some wet weather due to a frontal system that's marching its way across. We have a front clearing away towards the north as we go overnight, but lingering across the far north of Scotland, and then a front pushing eastwards, but also lingering lingering across some southern southeastern parts, so a fair bit of rain to come. But in between those two wetter areas where things will stay pretty mild, there's some drier, clearer weather, and here things could turn a little fresh. Some rural spots could drop into low single figures perhaps. But in the south, where we have this cloud and rain, it is going to be a wet and blustery start to the day for many places. The rain could be quite heavy, particularly in the southwest. Across much of Wales and central England, dry but cloudy to start. Brighter across much of Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Across the rest of Scotland, though, quite cloudy, outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain could be a little bit heavy at times as well. As we go through the day, some of that rain across parts of Scotland, well, that's going to continue, may edge a little bit further southwards towards the borders area. Meanwhile, the heavier, more persistent rain in the south, that pushes its way northwards, and that's going to spread across Wales, the Midlands and into northern England later on as well. It is still mild out there at the moment, especially so towards the southeast. Once that rain clears away, there'll be some brightness, and so we're looking at temperatures reaching around 16 Celsius. Then Thursday, a bit of a messy day for many places. Some rain across parts of Scotland, northern England and northern Ireland. A bit of rain in the far south of England as well. Drier, brighter across the Midlands and Wales and the far north of Scotland, seeing a few showers. And then on Friday, colder air pushing into northern parts. Meanwhile, some heavy rain and strong winds affecting some southern areas. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's on the front pages. Sir Keir Starmer is now facing a leadership challenge from multiple different fronts. Open warfare going on in the Labour Party. We will have the inside story. Some other devastating front pages, I'm afraid, for the Labour Party. 4 million on benefits who don't have to find a job. But could it be good news for some of the waspy women? It looks like they might finally be getting the pay offer that they've so desperately craved. All that and much more.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country